Vigil, Ante, and the Vigilante Antics by BelleAmant. Read by Shadow5. Chapter 55. Clarity. When exactly Hitoshi walks into the lab, Izuku isn't quite sure. All that he knows is the rhythm of his work, the pace that is set up and yet to stray from, because doing so means losing steam, which means losing motivation, which means giving up. And Izuku can't give up. Not now. Not ever. Not on Hitoshi. But Izuku is so focused on his work, on the metal arm within his grasp, that he doesn't hear the sound of the lab door opening. He's so fixated on testing the joints that he doesn't notice the footsteps that echo through the room. He's so lost in his own head. He doesn't process the way the footsteps stop. How a sharp inhale is taken in that Izuku didn't take. How eyes stare right at him. But nothing could ever distract Izuku enough for him to miss the soft call of Izu. Izuku drops the arm and immediately winces as it hits the table below with a sharp clanging noise. He turns around, and there Hitoshi is, watching him with purple eyes that are open and alive, standing there despite having been unconscious for weeks, maybe a month, maybe more. Izuku doesn't know at this point. Standing there, almost impossibly so, and waiting for his response. It can't be real, but Izuku wants to believe. Toshi? Izuku asks, letting the name slip from his lips, almost like a prayer. How are you here? There's no way. You've been up for so long. You shouldn't even be able to stand. The perks of muscle quirks. Hitoshi jokes, his voice so dry that Izuku knows it can't be faked. Gets you up and moving after a hella long nap. The answer is enough to get Izuku onto his feet, stumbling off of his stool and over to his brother. And then he's slouching onto the taller and slightly older boy, grounding himself in the feeling of Hitoshi's hoodie, the solid fabric telling Izuku that this is real. Hitoshi is awake. Izuku starts to cry. He can't help it. He's always been a crier. But now he's faced with a suddenly unconscious brother who's smiling and holding him tight. And Izuku was wondering when it had to be a when, or Izuku wouldn't be able to keep going. Hitoshi would be getting up. He's being faced with what may not be a miracle, but is most definitely the best thing that's happened to Izuku since Hitoshi first beamed at him and said that they could be heroes together. No, this is the best thing. Nothing could be better than having Hitoshi, having his brother, safe in his arms, awake and alive and unhurt. I'm so glad that you're okay. Izuku breathes out, hands tightening in their grip, bunching up the fabric clasped on his hands, and the physical reminder grounds him, letting him breathe easier. It takes a lot more to force me off of this realm. Hitoshi jokes, but it's too soon. It's far too soon. And Izuku lets out a choked laugh that sounds more like a gasp and a broken sob. It couldn't do anything, Toshi, Izuku admits. You were bleeding and you weren't moving and I couldn't stop him, not even when my quirk came in and… You got a quirk? Hitoshi asks. Like, that's the important part. But Izuku's nodding along, his face knocking into Hitoshi's shoulder. Telekinesis and fire breathing. I can control the fire too, Izuku explains quickly. That's a good one, Hitoshi compliments. How far can you reach? I don't know. I haven't tested it. He hasn't even tried to activate it again. Not since that night. He doesn't think he can handle it, seeing the power that did nothing to help his best friend. Not when Hitoshi was in a coma, unable to help him progress. I couldn't, not without you there. No. Shaking his head, Izuku pulls back, arms still latch onto the hoodie, but giving him room to actually see Hitoshi's face as he adds on. I've been busy anyways. I can tell, Hitoshi says, eyes roaming the room. That Zawa said that you left. The question is obvious. Hitoshi is asking why. Izuku finally lets go of the hoodie, if only to awkwardly rub at his neck. I had work to do. He turns around, gesturing for Hitoshi to follow him. As they walk over to his work table, Izuku speaks. I knew that you'd wake up because Sensei needs us, with his eyes and ears, as awful as it is, and I knew you'd be safe so long as I didn't continue rebelling. Continue, because that's all he's been doing. Rebelling. He has to stop. He doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want Hitoshi to hurt anymore either. He will stop, if that's what it takes to keep Hitoshi safe, until Izuku can fix everything. So I got busy. I figured if I was good, maybe Sensei would speed up the healing, or bring you out, or... Sensei didn't hear me. Hitoshi spits out, and Izuku's heart drops at the statement, because that means his good behavior has been for nothing. Izu, I woke up, and the first thing I was told was that you left, that Saba and Yamada were buried sick. Izuku blinks in surprise, eyebrows rising as words slip out on their own. Really? Why? Why? Izu, you were gone for a week, apparently. A week? It hasn't felt that long, or that short. I lost track of the days, Izuku admits, and then he adds on. I'm surprised they were so worried. You'd think that they'd be relieved, considering I was out of their hair. It's supposed to be a joke, supposed to make Hitoshi laugh, even though the words, for some reason, make Izuku want to frown and tear up. But Hitoshi doesn't laugh. Instead his face just falls, lips curving downward and eyes going soft. Gently, he says, Izu, they were worried because they care about us. We're their kids. Legally, Izuku corrects automatically, because he knows they only adopted the boys because someone had to. Knows that they're being burdened by having the duo in the house. Knows that they'll be happy when the boys move out because their mother is back. No. One word. It takes one word to make Izuku freeze. No? Izuku repeats, the word coming out as a question. Which makes sense, as it is very much a question. One that Hitoshi apparently has the answer to. Not legally. Izu, they see us as their kids. Their own kids. They bought us phones. They took us out for ice cream when we crushed the sports festival. Yamada gets excited whenever we call him by that nickname, and that Saba gets that tiny grin that you know is special. They hugged me upon seeing I was up and were ready to cry, just thinking about your sudden disappearance. We're theirs, Izu. We've got a family. A family. A family. The one thing Izuku and Hitoshi have never had. The very thing they've done so much for. Izuku and Hitoshi have given up precious information about their school, teachers, and peers for the sake of a family. And you're saying, Izuku chokes out, that we have a family, we have 2 dads waiting for us at a home, not a house, for us. We have a family, and what about Mom? She wouldn't want this, Hitoshi whispers. And Izuku hates those 4 words because they sound like a line from a goddamn story. And Izuku wants to brush them off as just that. A line. But he can't. Because he's known that all along, hasn't he? Hasn't he, when every action has poured more and more guilt into his heart, has made him feel awful, has made him promise on every star in the sky that he'd make up for what he's done? Because what would his mother say, knowing that she was only back because he was too selfish to ignore a villain's offer? Because he was so focused on what he could have had, he hurt others and ignored what he was being offered. How could his mom approve something so cruel, so self-centered? She wouldn't. She would never. And sure, she might say that she understands, that she forgives him. But would she really? But giving up because his mom wouldn't want this feels like exactly that. Giving up. No matter how true the reasoning is. Because giving up means letting all of the pain be for nothing, letting all of the hurt that he and others have felt be pointless. I can't. Izuku gets out, shaking his head. I can't give up. I can't have done all of this, only to back off at the last second and let him get his part and have done so much wrong for nothing. Not when I felt that Saba and Yamada and everyone at school for her. Not when you got hurt. Are you saying this because you want Mom? Or because you feel bad about everything we've done and don't want it to be pointless? From the way Hitoshi looks at him, it's clear that he knows the answer. But Izuku says it out loud anyways. The second, he whispers. The first 2, but the second. and it hurts to say that. It hurts to admit that his mother has come second. But his mother hasn't been around since Izuku was 4. Not by her choice, of course. Never by her choice, but she's been gone. And Hitoshi's been here. Hitoshi has been here by his side for the past 12 years. And his peers have been here. Tenya and Shoto and Hunter and Tokoyami and even Bakugo is here. Kind and supportive and around. And his dads have been here. Because that's what they are, if Izuku is being honest, being open, and right now he needs to be. His dads have been here. And in the end, that's why Izuku has to put his mother second. Has to focus on the present. Focus on making things right. Hitoshi seems to know this too, which isn't surprising, because Hitoshi and Izuku know each other by heart. They have for years, and that's why Izuku isn't shocked when Hitoshi offers up the perfect answer. We'll make it mean something. How? Well, personally, I think it'll be the best form of revenge if we go out how we came in. A little information handed over to the pros. Or maybe a lot. Hitoshi smiles widely, the wild, manic grin that both boys are well known for. But then his smile softens, and he adds, "But that means we'll be giving ourselves away. Are you okay with that, Izu?" "I'll have to be." Izuku jerks weakly. I just want to help. I want to fix this. But? Hitoshi asks, and Izuku lets out a forced chuckle. I don't know how to do this. What should we do? What should we say? He doesn't like this. Doesn't like not knowing what to do from here. How to break free. He doesn't like being nervous, being unable to lead and take his usual role, because this isn't something he can just hop right into. This is something that needs to be planned out. Something careful, cautious, meticulous. Something born out of care and concern, and not adrenaline. But, luckily for Izuku, Hitoshi's forte has always been understanding first and hopping in second. And that's why he's able to smile and say, "Don't worry, Izu. I know what to do." And Izuku trusts him wholeheartedly, like he always has. He just hopes that this goes well. He doesn't think he'd be able to take losing the family he just realized he has. They reunited, and Izuku finally realized that Yamada and Aizawa are his dads. It's going well. I hope they get a happy ending. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed chapter 55 of Vigil, Ante and the Vigilante Antics, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!